This is Crew Resource Management, Surprise and Startle Effect. Watch this video. Hello, welcome to the channel. I hope you're all well. So this is Crew Resource Management, Surprise and Startle Effect. So within any CRM session on Surprise and Startle Effect, you'll be looking to define surprise and startle effects, identify the effects, and looking to adopt strategies to cope with the surprise and startle effect. So in terms of definition, a surprise is defined as a feeling of mild astonishment or shock caused by something unexpected. Startle is defined as a cause to feel a sudden shock or alarm. So in this sense, you'll be looking to discuss what is a surprise reaction and what is a startle reaction. So a startle reaction or response is a reflexive response to a perceived sudden or threatening stimulus. So for example, a loud unexpected noise, a very bright light, an unexpected movement. A startle response can be confused with a reaction or response to fear. However, a startle response is a reflexive reaction. It is a physical response to avoid harm from an event that is not yet fully understood. So in a CRM session on surprise and startle effect, you'll be asking the question, well, why is it important to understand this process of surprise and startle effect? What are you looking to avoid? Well, in aviation terms, we're looking to avoid a loss of control of the aircraft. So you may briefly discuss aviation incidents or accidents, mishandling, knowledge effects, skills effects. You'll be delving into primitive traits of surprise and startle effects. You'll be questioning who, if any, is more susceptible to surprise and startle, understanding what the best defense measures would be, and how you can train for reaction and recovery. Within a surprise and startle CRM session, you'd also be looking to differentiate between shock and horror. What is surprising? What is startling? So in terms of surprise and surprising, what can make this more common? A lack of knowledge, ignorance, a lack of situational awareness, a low expectation or a misguided expectation, a misunderstanding of the situation and a misunderstanding of the potential future. What about the quality of information that you're receiving? Is it good information? Is it false information? So in terms of a startle reflex, you'll be further exploring the reflexive response to perceived unexpected stimuli. How long does the startle effect last for? Is it interrupting? Is it distracting? Does it lead to a cognitive assessment of a situation, and does it deliver a response? What about arousal states? Low arousal states, high arousal states. If you're already in a high arousal state, does that mean you'll have a greater startle response? If, let's say, you're very uneasy about a situation, if you're already scared, if you're already fearful, then will you have a greater startle response to a given unexpected stimuli? Will you be subject to a fear potentiated startle? So in terms of aircrew and a startled aircrew, what can be the outcome of this? Well, this can lead to over control or under control. It can lead to an unusual attitude of the aircraft. But in terms of residual effects, it does not affect sustained cognitive degrade. And usually recovery is within seconds. And you'll be discussing the types of stimulus, whether they're threatening or non-threatening, the different types of threats, fight or flight. So in terms of fight or flight, you'll be discussing the reaction to situation perception. Perception over a situation. Is it subjective or objective? How a startle effect, how a surprise effect, and this fight or flight, how it affects cognitive processing. You discuss what the brain is doing, what the body is doing in a surprise and startle situation. Does it affect the flight crew, or can it affect cabin crew or any technical crew? Can it affect the passengers? Ultimately, when you're in a surprise and startle situation, does it affect your analytical and diagnostic decision making? So in terms of observable reactions to surprise and startle, what would you discuss in a CRM session? If your flight crew is dealing with a surprise and startle event, is it appropriate for them to revert to old knowledge? Why could a flight crew suddenly freeze? Why could they become mentally stuck? You'd explore the pathway between actions and reactions, knowing what you should do, knowing what you have to do. You'd be discussing confusion and confusing situations. Is there too much mental effort to interpret and resolve any given situation? And what is your reaction to that confusion? Do you stick with a problem, or do you discard it and move on? One of the questions you'll be discussing in a CRM session on surprise and startle is, why does it happen? Who is susceptible? Is it natural? Can it occur to anyone? What are the influences of an increased incidence of surprise and startle? What about training or a lack of training? What about a training focus or inappropriate training focus? What about an individual capacity to react to the unexpected? What about the importance of a lack of situational awareness? A general lack of knowledge? What about complacency? Now, as with all CRM sessions, you'll be looking at strategies to cope and to improve a given situation, in this case, surprise and startle. So you'll be touching on elements such as attention, vigilance, monitoring, situation recognition, and looking at training processes to improve a reaction to surprise and startle effect. And within surprise and startle effect in a CRM session, you'll be looking to discuss the management of this, the importance of threat assessment, looking at communications, actions, and intent. Single pilot or multi-pilot crews, HEMS crews, single pilot, and the role of technical crew members as well. Is communicating the recognition of a surprise and startle event important or not? What about crew dynamics? Is it important to allow other crews to assist, to potentially even take control? What about overcoming control urges? Looking at the simplest, safest actions first. And finally, what about the role of checklists and standard operating procedures? So within any CRM session, always come prepared to discuss all the elements involved. If you like what I do here, subscribe to the channel and keep on watching the videos, and I'll catch you again. Bye now.